Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in this today's video we are going to create a news app in Angular. So for creating this application we will be using Angular version 14, which is the latest one, and for creating this toolbar and side nav we will be installing Angular Material, and for designing this cards and header so we will be using Tailwind CSS. So this is the first time that I am using Tailwind CSS in Angular project. So I think this is the great time to you guys also to learn this, how we can configure them in Angular project and use it. All right. So without any wasting time, let's just get into the demo. So in this project, so we will be having this home page where we can see top 10 trending news. All right, and here we can see we have all the news here with all these details like who is the author of this news, at what time this news is published, the title of the news, and also the description. If you are interested to like read more about this, then there is a read more option. You can click this and you can go to that source and you can read more about that news. All right, and here you can see we have one more option of this side nav, and this side nav will have the list of sources. So currently we are getting top 10 trending news across the globe, which are trending at the moment. But here if you want some news related to some specific sources, for example, if I want some news from BBC Sports, so we can click here on this source, and can you see that the things got changed here. So now we are able to see all the trending news for the sports. Okay, so this is the option. So we are here having around 80 plus sources here which we can make use of it to see all this news. All right, and the one good part about this project is this is responsive. Okay, so if I just try to just show you the mobile view of this project, so here you can see this is how it looks in small devices. So here you can see this is getting automatically response, and if I try to increase the screen, so this automatically takes the screen size. Okay, so this is the beauty of this project, that we will be also working on how we can create a responsive website as well. All right, so without any wasting time, let's get into the video. So first let's go in our folder and create our new project. So let me go in my folder here, and we can create a new project by opening the CMD. So in this folder just press CMD and hit enter. So a command window will be opened in your folder. You can see in the my project. Okay, let me zoom a bit so that you guys can see. Okay, so the first command for running it, so first let me just show you what is my Angular versions. For that we can just say your ng version, and we can see the version, the npm version, the CLI version, and all the details here. So we are on Angular version 14, the node version is this, and the npm version is this. Okay, so let's first create the Angular application. So for that the command is ng new, and let's give a name as news app. Okay, and hit enter. Yep, so this is asking for Angular routing, say yes. It is asking for CSS, so I always go with SCSS, and this will take some time to install all the required packages. So you can see our application is installed. So now we have to just go inside our project, so say cd space, and we can see the name of your app and hit enter. So now we are into our application. So we have to open this in Visual Studio Code. So for that just press code space dot. Okay, and now this will open up Visual Studio Code. All right, so now what is the first thing we will be doing? Let's first serve this application. Let's compile this application first. So open up a terminal and hit the command ng serve. Okay, so this will again take some time to compile your code. So yeah, the app is compiled successfully, and we can see this is serving on localhost 4200. Let's open this on the browser. Okay, all right, so this is how your application looks initially. So we will remove all this thing and we will try to add our own things. Let's see if things are compiling correct. So let's add news app, save and check. Yes, so our application is working correct. So now let's just try to install Angular Material so that we can have that toolbar and the side nav. Okay. So for installing Angular Material, so we have few steps to do. So I will always recommend going on this website to always see the correct steps how we can install the Angular Material. So we have this angularmaterial.io. So let's go in this website. So here we have this get started there, and there you can see we get a proper command to install the Angular Material. So let's copy this command and paste it here and hit enter. So it will ask for a few questions there, like what kind of theming you need. So here it is first asking for installing the package. I say yes. It is asking for some choosing this. So we can go with the purple green maybe. You can choose any. And it is asking for typography style. So yes. And it asking for include and enable an animation. So I'll say yes. And now it will update your package.json accordingly. So again, it will take few seconds to install all those packages and update few files as well in your Angular. So can you see this file got updated according to whatever settings we have selected. So now we can see our Angular material is also installed in your project. Okay. And now we need to install Tailwind CSS as well. But before that, I want to just check if the material is installed is correct or not. Okay. So for that, what I will be doing, I will be copying this toolbar. So let's go in the component and copy this toolbar. Okay. And let's take maybe this one. Maybe this is cleaner. So I'll go with here and I copy the first one. Okay, and I will be pasting it in our HTML. Okay, and now this throws error because we have to import. So for that, let's go in the API and import this first line. Copy this first line and let's go in your module and just put it here. Okay, and we need to have this inside our imports array. So mat toolbar module. Okay, so this is added in the project and you can see the error gone, and we can click on save all, save the changes, and let's see if our code is compiling success or not. Let's wait. So I can see compiled successfully, and let's see the changes. Okay, so I see the CSS has not been applied successfully. So let's just check it why. Okay, so let's just stop the application and try to run it again. So press Ctrl C and again just run the command ngserve. Yeah, so this compiles again success. Now let's go on the browser and see the changes. Let me save it and let's check the changes. Okay, so I can see now this is how it shows it in black color. So but we need some purple color here. So what we can do is we can just make use of color attribute here and we can just put here as primary. Okay, once I save this, so this color will change just to this color. Okay, purple. Okay, so I can see this material is working fine. Okay, now I want to install Tailwind in my project. So for that, let's go on this website tailwindcss.com. So here we have a proper guide to install this Tailwind CSS in our project. Okay, so we have this already done, so we don't need to do this. So we have a project ready. We need to run these two command. This is the first one. Okay, let's copy this and let's go here in the PowerShell and paste it. Hit enter. Okay, so now this will install the Tailwind CSS package. Okay, and let me copy the second command as well, and this will basically will create a config file. So you can see this is installed. Now let's create this second command npx tailwind css init. So this will actually initialize a tailwind css config file. Okay, so for now we are not going to touch this file, so because we want whatever is there by default. Okay, but we need to import few things so that we can check it from here. So we need to import these three things in your project. Okay, so we have this style.css, the global styling here. So go inside this and you can import it here on the top. Okay, now let's save it. All right, so once we save it, now we can verify if Tailwind CSS is installed correctly or not. So let's copy this and paste it below, or maybe we can replace it below this toolbar. Okay, so we can just check if the CSS is applied correct or not. All right, so let's go on the browser and check it. So I can see this is applying correctly. If you try to change the text color, so that you can do very easily just by saying here as text red, and we can give some shades as well. So I want to give shade of this 400. I can save it and I can check on the browser if that changes. Okay, so let's save and check. I see it is not working again. So what we can do is we can again stop this compile. So for this, Control C and again run the application. Okay, and because we are adding some configs, that's why we need to recompile your application again. That's why. So this doesn't work in that way. That's why we need to stop the application and again start it to apply those changes. Okay, so let's just wait for it to get compiled again. So I can see my code is compiled, but there is some warning here that content option is empty. Okay, so what we need to do is, so open up your tailwind config.js. So it is here, so you can open this file, and inside this you need to put some content here. So what we can do is we can point that in the source, in the src. Okay, with all those path. Okay, because we need to apply this somewhere. So what we will be targeting, we will be targeting all the html and ts files. Okay, so we can just say here html comma css, oh sorry, the ts, the TypeScript files. And once we save this, so I will not see this warning again. Okay, and now if I go on the browser, I can see the color is applied successfully. Okay, so I can see this hello world in red color. So now I can say my material and tailwind, both of them are configured successfully in my application. All right, so now let's just try to create that card, because we need to create a side nav and we need to create a card. Okay, so let's just target with the side nav first and then we will come to the card. All right, okay, so for the side nav, what we need to do is, let's go here in your code. Okay, and inside this we will be adding few lines of code for adding those side nav. So let's first write those things. Let me remove this one. Okay, and for the side nav, first of all we need to have a mat side container. So we'll say mat side nav container. Okay, all right, and inside this we need to have mat side nav. Okay, so here we can create. All right, so this is the mat side nav, and inside this we will have all our contents. Okay, all right, so first to fix this issue, so we need to have import all the side nav and this. I guess the side nav will work for us. So first of all we need to import the side nav. All right, so for importing the side nav, so there is some package. So let me just go ahead and write it here. So we have to import from, okay, we can say @Angular slash material. So Angular slash material slash, we have side nav. Okay, so we have to import side nav module. Okay, and we also need to add it here in the import array, mat side nav module. Okay, so once we add it, so we can see this error is gone. All right, okay, let's save it and let's try to add the content in the mat side nav. Okay, so in the mat side nav we will be having an image on the top. Okay, for our logo or some avatar what we need to put. So let's add the image. Okay, and we will give a class as avatar, because this will be like a logo for us, and we will be using mat elevation of z8 index. Okay, so image will have a source we are not giving it at the moment. We have this alt, and these two has been added. So this is your image which will be there on the top of your site nav. All right, and below that we can give a heading to it. We can just say h4 class. We can say give any name. So let me give the channel name, let's program, and below that there is something called as mat divider, so we will be adding that as well. Okay, so for adding this mat divider, again we need to import few things. So for that, you can just go on the website as well to check, but if you already know what thing to import, so you can directly go in your module and write it down. But if you're not sure, so you can anytime go to the website and try to import. But I know from where I need to import, so I'm just directly writing it down here. So it is coming from Angular slash material slash divider. Okay, and we can just put here mat divider module. Okay, and again add it here as well, mat divider module. So that is also added. Okay, and we can see no error here as well. All right, so what next we need to do is, so after that we need to have all our sources. Okay, so for having the sources, so below this mat divider we will add the list of source. For that we will be having a button. Okay, so we can click that source button and we can display them. So what we will be doing, we can add a button. So for adding a button we will use a mat button. So let's add a button first. Okay, and let's give a name to the button as let's have a span tag to give the name. So this will be ABC news. Okay, so this is just a source. I will be creating a single source and that will be repeated, and I have to use mat button. Okay, and I will give a class as menu button at the moment. All right, and let's add an icon as well. So let's use a mat icon. Okay, and for the mat icon we will use event node. So there is something called as event node, but here can you see it is not working. So let me just tell you what I was trying to say. So if you don't know where to import, so you can just go here. Okay, search for icon, go in the API and you can directly import. But if you know what has to be imported, then you can directly do that. Okay, so let me just paste it down and also put it here. All right, I can see the error is gone. Let's save this and let's try to review how the page looks like. Okay, all right, I don't see that at the moment because we will be need to style them. Okay, a bit. All right, so now what we will be doing is, so we need to create a button to open the side nav. All right, so for creating those button, so what we will be doing, so we need to add something on the header here, somewhere here. Okay, so for adding the button, again let's go here and just put button. Okay, and this is a mat icon button, so we can put mat icon button. So this is the attribute. Okay, and let's give a class. So I will be okay, let's give an example icon or something like that. Okay, all right, and inside this I will have two icons. Okay, so first icon will be, okay, so first for the first icon I will have a menu icon, so I can just give here menu, and for the second icon I will be having close, something like this. Okay, now let me just show you these changes on the UI. Can you see? So we have two buttons. So will be for opening and this will be for closing the side nav.
So now we need to make that thing clickable. So we had those two menu open and close buttons. So for making it clickable, we have to open a side nav. So what we'll be doing, we will be using a template reference variable, which is side nav. So we can make use of like the hash side nav. I'll create and I'll initialize it with this value, which is called as mat side nav. Okay. Okay, so once we have this thing in our template, so what we will be doing, we will be using view child on your ts file. So for using that, let's go on the component.ts file, and we need to import first view child. Okay, so once we have the view child, so inside the view child we have to call that template reference so that we can make use of it to open and close the side nav. Okay, so let's use the view child. Here we say @view child. Okay, and inside this we can inject mat side nav. Can you see this mat side nav coming from Angular slash material slash side nav? So let's click here, and we see on the top it is imported. Okay, so once it is imported, so what we'll doing is let's give a variable name like side nav. Okay, and we need to initialize it with like let's give a type of it as a side nav. Okay, this should match these two. Okay, so we have a side nav ready here, and now we want to make it open and close by using this. All right, so what I will be doing now is, whenever we are on a mobile screen, so we want to open that side nav. So for that, what we can do is, so we will be using something called as observer. So this observer is basically observe your screen size, and based on that condition it opens the side nav for you. Okay, so for having that, we need to go inside your constructor and we need to inject observer like breakpoint observer. So let's try to inject that. So we will be using private. Yes, this is the one, breakpoint observer. And we will be writing this logic of close and open inside your lifecycle hook called as uh, after view init. Okay, so for that we need to implement that interface after view init, the second one. Okay, and this will be imported on the top as well from Angular slash core. Okay, and this complains to implement it. So let's go ahead and implement the interface, and inside this we will be writing that logic. Okay, that whenever your screen size is 800, then please open it and stuff like that. All right, so first what I will be doing is, so I will be saying this dot. Okay, can you see this side nav? When I click dot, so I get option called as opened. Okay, and this open takes a boolean. So what I'll do is, so I'll first make it open. I'll make it as true. I pass a value as true so that it should be open all the time. But if the screen size changes, so what we will do, we'll be using this observer, set this dot observer. Okay, dot observe. So it has a method called as observe. All right, and if I hover on this, okay, so can you see this is an observable of a breakpoint state? Can you see this? So what we can do is we can make use of it, and we can subscribe it. So for that we need to put inside what is the observer state you are expecting. So it accepts a string. So what we will be doing is, so we will be putting it as a string. Inside that we say max width. All right, so I'll say max width. Inside the max width we can put here 787, which is the mobile screen size starts from, and something like that. So we can put here as a max width of 787 pixel, and it will observe that max width, and based on that we can subscribe. All right, we can subscribe, and inside that we have a response, and this response we will be using here. Okay, so if our response matches, if it matches that, all right, so what we will be doing is, so we will be saying, okay, so this dot side nav dot, we have a mode over. So I'll explain that once I will be showing this in the code. So we have three state here, so over, push, and side. So we'll say over. Okay, and I'll say this dot side nav dot close. So side nav we will get close. So I want to close the side nav and it will be all your screen. Okay, but if the condition doesn't matches, so we have a else block, and inside the else block we'll just say opposite. Let me copy and let me paste it here, and I'll say side and say this one as open. Okay, so this logic has been added inside your after view init. All right, and now what I will be doing now is, so I want to hide and show that, correct? So I want to hide and show that whenever someone clicks that, I want to hide and show. So can you see at the moment I see my side nav? Okay, but if I show you here, let me just show you what about that break, what does that breakpoint does. Okay, now let's go in the mobile view, and let me just show, can just have a look here. If I increase it, can you see, once I close it, so once it is less than 787, so if I make it 787, it gets closed. If it is increased, if it is greater than 787, so it opens. So let me show you the logic how it has been, how it has been working here. Okay, so whenever it is 787, so it checks that value and it closes that. Okay, it closes that side nav, like for that a response if it is greater than that and less than that. Okay, and once I increase it, or I decrease it, so once I decrease it, so what it comes in this block, it comes in this block and it closes that. If I increase, comes in this blocks and it opens the side nav. So this was the logic which I put for the mobile view. Okay, and this observes automatically and does the job for us. Okay, all right. So now let's go forward now. But if you see, we have two icons, which is not good. We need only one icon to open and to close. Okay, so this is the conditional based thing. So what we will be doing, let's go in your HTML file and add those two condition. So we will be using this template reference for closing and opening that. Okay, so on the mat icon we have a click. Okay, and what we will be adding here is, we can say your side nav dot open. So we can say this dot side nav dot open, because this is for opening your side nav menu, and we have a close one for closing the side nav. So let me put it here as close. Okay, now so this will open and close the side nav for us, but still the icon is visible for us. Still I can see both the icons. I can see both the icons. Okay, so for that what I will be doing now, let's put a condition here. So we will have a ng if. Okay, ng if, what it will do, so we have side nav, right? So we have side nav, or we can, okay, let's have it like this only, and side nav dot open. So we have side nav dot open. Okay, and let's copy it and paste it below as well, because we just have to add a ternary to make it true or false. So if it is opened, then I don't want to see it, so something like, and if it is closed, then I don't want to see this. So if I put here as this means side nav is closed. When it is closed, I want to see, I don't want to see, I don't want to see this menu icon if the side nav is closed, because we want to open it. Okay, so if I save it, and if the side nav is opened, okay, then I want to show this close menu. Now let me just show you on the browser. So can you see the side nav is open, so I can only see one icon, which is the close one. But if I click here, so can you see that side nav closes and it only shows your this icon. Open and close. This works like charm. Okay, now but I see one issue in the console, and what is that? Let's see. Okay, so this complains, this is one of the famous error of Angular. Okay, so this makes it value true. Okay, I got what is the problem is. So we have to use something called as change detection, because this is not detecting your change and the expression got changed from true to false and something like that. All right, so to fix that issue, let's go inside your ts file, and inside the ts we need to add a change detection. Okay, because it is not detecting your change. So for that what we will be doing, let's import few things. Okay, and inject something in the constructor. And what is that something? This is nothing but your change detector ref. So for that let's add a private. Why it is not working? Okay, private change detection ref cdr change detector ref. This is the one I was talking about, this one. Let's import this. Can you see it is imported as well on the angular/core, from angular/core. Okay, and now we will be adding it in the last line, that okay, if this has happened, then I'll say this dot cdr dot detect changes. So it was not detecting a change, so now we make it to detect the change. And if I save it, and now if I go on the browser, if I open and close, I see no error now in the console. Okay, that's how you deal with that kind of errors. So this is done. All right, so what next we need to do is, so now I see my side nav is ready. So now let's try to make the cards, and then we will focus on the APIs. Okay, so currently this is all static. uh, let's let's try to finish up the card, and then we proceed further. Okay, so for adding the card, let's go ahead in your HTML and add few CSS, sorry, the HTMLs for it. Okay, so I see I just have your this block. So for now we have a side nav, and but we need a side nav content. So whatever the content we will having inside our side nav content, so for that let's write here as mat side nav content. This is the one. Okay, let's close it, and now inside whatever you write, it will be visible as your content. For example, let me add let's program rocks. If I save and let me show you what is the beauty of having this. Okay, and let's go on the browser and check. So can you see? So now I see all my content here. So whatever I write inside this block now, so it will be acting as my content. So let's now remove this for now, and let's try to add the actual content which will be here inside this. Okay, so what we will be adding, so I have added a class here with a class called as content, and we have a mat elevation as z4, which is coming from your Angular material. So this is from there, and we need to write some content here. So what I will be doing is, so I have a code snippet ready already for my Tailwind. So I have a section here, so let me copy this section, because Tailwind involves all your classes and it can take lots of time to create this video. So better let's have this ready out of the box. Okay, so let me just explain you what things I have copied. So I have copied this section where we have these classes called as text gray 600, bg gray 100, and body font. So this is all your classes coming from your Tailwind CSS. Okay, so we have again this containers just like your bootstrap. So we have pix like px, which means giving a padding on your horizontal padding of 5, and all these things, everything is coming from your Tailwind CSS now, because we don't have any bootstrap, and this classes belongs to bootstrap. You have already seen lots of video of Pride where I'm using this container. Okay, so we have all this code ready, and now let me explain what things I have. So I'm having this selected news channel. So whenever I select a news channel, so that thing I want to display it here. So I have it, this content here, selected news channel. And if you go down, so we have a div with a flex, so that I can see all those in horizontal way. So we have flex wrap here. And now if you see here, so we have a div here which will be having our content, and we have all these classes there which says that for extra large screen let's have a width of 1 by 3, for medium screen let's have a width of 1 by 2, and we are giving a padding of 4 all around the card. Okay, and we see again few classes for creating a card. We have bg wide, we are giving a rounded lg, like it will be a round corner, all those things, and all those classes has been applied here if you see. Okay, and if I save this thing, let's save this thing and let's see how it looks on your browser. Okay, so if I just show you on the browser, let me just open it quickly, and yeah, so that's how it looks now. So we have a bg, right? We have a background, we have applied as a white color, so that's all has been applied, and this is the card how it looks. So we're not having the image at the moment. Once we have an image, so image will be taking up the space, and we have author, we have published date, we have title of the news, description, and the read more option. Okay, so that's how your application will be looking now. So we have a one card ready. Let's try to add multiple cards and check if it takes the horizontal or how it takes. Okay, so let me just try to copy this and paste it 4 or 5 times to see the changes. If I save them, and let me just show you on the screen. So yeah, that's how it, that's what the requirement is. So I can see, so this was the reason of having a flex and a flex wrap, so this makes it like this. So now we have all our cards in horizontal way manner. Okay, and let me check the responsiveness, how it responses for the mobile screen. So can you see, for the medium screen it is divided into two part, for smaller screen we have only one single part, and yeah, that's how the card looks like. And we have this open and close as well, which is working fine. Okay, So now whatever we have at the moment, everything is static. So now let's try to create our having that API. So we need to have a API. I have told you that I will be using an API from news.org. Okay, so let me just show you what is our API will be like. If you go on the news.org website, okay, I'm not sure the website at the moment. Let me just search for it then. Yep, so news API org. So what you need to do is you just need to get your API key from here. So you need to log in inside this and you can click on here to get your API key. Okay, so it will be like this. So you need this API key. All right. So once you have this thing, then we are easy to integrate them inside this application. All right. So now two things we need. First thing is the left hand side, the sources, and on the right hand side we will need the news of that particular source. All right, so now let's try to create our service for doing those API calls. All right, so for creating the API call, we will be creating a service. Okay, so let's go in the app and create a folder called as service. Okay, and inside this we have to create a service. So let's go here. So let's open up in the terminal. Okay, so you need to be inside this folder, service folder. Okay, and just hit the command ngg s for service, and the service name is news. Yeah, let's take it as news service. Okay, and it will take few seconds to create that service. So I see the service is created. Okay, and now inside this service we will be doing our creating our APIs, two API calls. All right. All right, so what we will be doing, so first thing we need a API key. Okay, so here you can have your API key. Okay, let's have your API key. So I have my API key already, so let's go on my on that website. Okay, and let's copy my API key, because this API key is required to do those API calls. Okay, all right, so now let's in the constructor have your HTTP. Okay, and to do the API call, so we need to have a HTTP client module that has to be there inside your app module. Okay, so let's import HTTP client module. Okay, this one, and you can see it is imported as well from HTTP, like common slash HTTP. Okay, now let's see what is the first API. So first API will be initializing the sources. So we have all the sources, right? So we will be initializing those sources. So I say initialize sources. So this is my method. Okay, initialize sources. So I want to return this dot http dot get. It's a get call. Okay, so I have a link ready already with me. So let me put that link. So I will be pasting this link in the GitHub as well, so don't worry. So you can copy them from there, copy it from there. Okay, so we have this HTTP news API org slash sources. We have a language as English. Okay, and that's how we need to pass the API key. Okay, so there is two way of using this. I mean, you can use interpolation way of also to do the string concatenation. Okay, but I followed the old way of doing it. So yeah, that's how you can do. So this API key is coming from here, so we can pass this, and this API is ready for initializing all the sources on the side nav. Okay, all right. So the second API will be for getting the article by ID. So we need to get all the articles by ID. So what we can do, we can create a method called as get articles by ID. Okay, and inside this we need to pass the source, and source will be of type string. We need to pass the source. Okay, and what we will be doing, we will be returning this. So this is a get call, so we say return this dot get http dot get, I'm so sorry, http dot get, and inside that again we have a URL. So let me copy that URL from my clipboard and paste it here. So again, this is again, it will take the top headlines, and the sources is what we pass here and with the API key. Okay, so this is the get articles by ID, and then we have the articles. all articles. So I'll say initialize articles. Okay, and inside this, again, this will be a get call. So again, we say return this dot http dot get, and inside this we can, let me again copy that link from clipboard and paste it here. Okay, so this is the three API that I will be using, and I will put them in GitHub as well. You can copy them from there, and please make sure to have your API key. Okay, so you can get this API key from this website. I have already informed this website. Okay, all right, so we have our service ready, and now we just need to call this service inside your app component. Okay, all right, so in the app component, the first thing we need to initialize those sources. So we can say here get all source. So for that, let's create a method get sources. Okay, and this get sources will help you to like initialize those values. So what we can do is, so we need to have that new service. So let's inject the new service, news API and news service. So this was a service we created, new service, and we will be using this service. So what I can do is I can implement on init, and I can call directly inside that. So I say on init lifecycle hook, and this will complain about having the ng on init method. So yeah, so inside the ng on init, I will be calling those two sources. Okay, so the first thing is my articles and the second thing is my sources. Okay, so let me create two properties, a public property as sources of type any, and it will be an empty array. Again, public articles, okay, of type any, and again this is empty. So I have initialized them as well, and I will be putting those values which is coming from the API. Okay, so we have this dot news API dot initialize the articles. Okay, and this I can subscribe. Okay, and inside the subscribe we can just put here, okay, the response of type any, I can put like this, and I can say this dot articles, okay, this dot articles is equals to response dot articles. I'll tell you why I put response dot articles. Okay, so I will be doing a console.log before it to show you how our response is coming from the API. So I'll do console.log res. Okay, so I have initialized my articles, and in the same way I'll just copy this method and paste it below, and we just need to change it from to initialize sources. We have this sources as well. So first one for initialize article and second is for initialize sources, and inside this I need to change this from articles to sources, and again this will be response dot sources. Okay, so these two are ready, and now let me just show you in the, so this is an ng on init method, so I can just do a console.log to show you the response. So if I go on the browser, okay, and let me show you the console, how does it look. So can you see the sources, we have 81 sources, and this is the response. So that's why I did a response dot sources and response dot articles. So we have total 10 articles. Okay, so that's the reason I put as response dot articles and response dot sources. Okay, so I have initialized these two values now. Okay, and now whatever you see in your HTML, everything is static at the moment. So let's now try to make them dynamic. So I will start with the side nav. Okay, so in the side nav, this is, you can see this is static at the moment. So here we will have, I will have all the sources here, the 81 sources, as you can see here inside this response. So I will put it here. So for that, again, it's very easy that we just need to use a ng for, and things are done for us. So let's go inside your mat, like below your mat divider. So where it is written, so it is on the top, I guess. Yep, this is the ABC news inside the mat divider. So we will be having a ng container. Okay, so let's have a ng container. Let me copy these buttons. Let me cut this button for now, and let me have a ng container. And inside the ng container, I will paste that again. So we have this button and all those things. Here we just say ng for and say let source of sources, and let me change the spelling to s. Okay, now what things we have? So we have the source name, correct? So I'll just copy the source. I'll go, so this was static, so let's try to remove and make it dynamic. So I'll say sources, no, not sources, source dot name. Okay, if I save it, and now if I go on the browser to check, so yes, that's what I needed. So I can see all the sources here. So we were having total 81 sources. So all of them you can see on the left hand side. Okay, the 81 source, ABC, ABC News. So this is all now dynamic coming from the API. Okay, so this part is done. What is the second thing we need? So we have our articles as well. So currently if you see, this is all static, so we don't have any images as well. So now I will make them dynamic again from the API. Okay, so let me go down here, and I see I have a section. Okay, and this section, in the section we have a div which is repeating. So this was the div which I need to target. So this div I need to target. Let me remove the others static from here. Okay, so I just need only one single div, and we can loop the div by using ng for. Okay, we just need single div. Again, let's have a ng container. So this is the one we need, ng container, and inside this you need to copy this div and cut and paste inside this ng container. Okay, and we will loop this by using star ng for. I'll say let article of articles. Okay, so we have these articles already initialized, correct? So now here you see we have a source, right? So for the source, let me just show you how our API looks. Okay, so that things will be easier for you to understand. So if you go in the article, so we have lots of information. We have author, we have content, we have description, we have published at, then we have sources as well, who is the source, we have title, we have URL to get more information about the news, and we have URL to image. So this is the one which I will be using for displaying the image. Okay, so I'll go here and I say article dot URL to image. Okay, so that's how we can make use of that images. So if I just try to show you, I have saved that only, so I can see all the images will be dynamic now. So let's go on the browser to see. Can you see we are getting all the dynamic images which is coming from the API. I know the contents are still static, but we will fix that. All right, and now we have something called as author as well inside our API. Again, if I show you, so we have authors. So let me show you the author. So this is the author. Let's copy this author and paste it here. So let me remove the static, and okay, so we have article dot author. Then we have published date as well. So let's try to go here and copy the published at, copied. Let's remove the static. We use, this is called a string interpolation, which I'm using at the moment. So article dot control V. Okay, then we have title of the news. So again, for that we have a title in the API. So let's copy here, and let's remove this. Let's use this. Oh, something went wrong, sorry. So articles dot your title. Okay, so we have description as well. So description can be trickier as well. Sometimes people use some HTML content, sometimes people use normal description. So it all depends. So what we can make use, so we can make use of inner HTML. So there is something called as inner HTML attribute which we will be using to display the content. Okay, so let's go here and bind this. So let me remove this first, the static one. So this is static, has been removed. Okay, let me take it here on the top. So static has been removed. Now I will be using the inner HTML. Okay, so inner HTML, and inside this I will be passing the description. So we have again article dot description. All right, and if I save the changes to see how it looks now. Okay, all right, let's go here and let's see the contents now. So I can see we have a good title along with, so we have the author, we have the published date, which is looking bad at the moment. Then we can see description, we can see read more. If I click on read more, it is still the same. So it is just loading the same page because we don't have the URL. So what we can do, we can try to bind. So let me just show you what I will be binding. If I go in the console, okay, in the articles, so this is what I want to bind. I want to bind the URL. So I'll just copy this URL, and we have a href here, correct? So what we can do is, so again we can make use of interpolation to bind this. Okay, so we can just say article dot URL. Okay, and the target is blank. So this is done. All right, and I see one more thing to be done, which is the date. So for making this date looks good, so what we can make use of, we can make use of something called as pipe in Angular. So there is a pipe called as date pipe. Okay, so that's how a pipe looks, and we put here as date, and we can give one more extra argument here as medium to this. And now if I save the changes and go on the browser, we remove this. Yes, exactly. So that's how I want it. So I can see this looks pretty good now. So we have the author, we have the title, we have description, and we have read more option. If I click here now, okay, so it opens in the next tab the more details about this article. Okay, and we can see everything is dynamic here. All right, so I see here something, again some static thing. So let's try to remove this as well. So what happens, so whenever our application runs, so we see a top 10 headlines from all the sources. So we can change this text to top 10 headline, or some of our own 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 beautiful name. So what I'll do here is I'll just change the name to top 10 news. So I'll create one variable public as is selected news channel. And why I did this, because I want to change the data here based on the selected. So if I click on ABC News, I want to change this to ABC News, and the content should also change to ABC News content. Okay, all right, so for that, that's why I put here as selected news channel, and this is of type string, and I will initialize it by top 10 trending, okay, trending news. I save it. Okay, so I have saved this now. So whenever I refresh my page, my page is loaded. Okay, let me check. Okay, so it is not working because again I need to do the string interpolation. I go here, so this is static, so let's remove this and add a string interpolation and paste this selected news channel. So if I save it and show on the browser, so first it will say top 10 trending news. Okay, but as soon as I click on any of the sources, so this should get changed based on the source which I have selected. Okay, so for that, so I will be needing a click event. Okay, so whenever we click on the button or whenever we click on that source, so based on that we need to call a method. All right, so let's create a method for, let's try to create the click event, then we'll create a method. Okay, so on the button we have a click event. Okay, so this click event will call a method called as search source, and here we will pass the source value, the source which is coming from here. This source I have passed inside this, and this is complaining because we have not created the method on the TS. So we'll go ahead and create a method on the TS file. So we don't need this now anymore. Yep. Okay. All right. So now inside this we will be adding two things. First of all, we need to get articles by ID. So the for getting the article by ID, we need to pass the source ID. So we say this dot news API dot get articles by ID, and we need to pass. So we have this source on the top dot ID. Okay, so once we pass this ID, now we can subscribe. Okay, and inside the subscribe we can like change the articles now. Okay, change the article. So we can say this dot articles will be equals to response dot articles. Okay, and also we need to change the selected news channel. So whatever news channel I'll select, so I'll change them as well. So I'll say this dot selected news channel will be equals to my source dot name. So whatever source I select, I want to change the name based on that. Okay, if I save these two changes, click on save all. I see compile is success. Yes, it is. And let's go here and see. Okay, so now we see top 10 trending news, which is coming from different sources. But if I click on ABC News, okay, wow. So I see all the news coming from ABC. So the data also got changed. So we get all the top 10 news from ABC channel. We have Associate Press. So if I go on the top, I see this again changed. If I want to see some sports news, then I click on BBC Sports, and now I see all the data related to the sports channel. Okay, that's how we actually do. All right, I see this project is almost complete. We just need to change this as well. So I have one thing already ready. So I have a link of a source where we have this a jpg. So let me copy and from my clipboard and paste it in this url of src. So I see this src is empty. So if I put it here, okay, so this is, if you go on this link, you can get what actually I'm talking about. So this is what I will be using, this news alert. Now if I save this and let me show you on the browser, yes, so that's what I actually wanted. So now this makes it complete. Okay, so in this way we have seen how we can create a news application by using Angular. So we have used Angular 14, so I think it's great time for you to also create something on latest version. And yeah, you can customize this name as well. So I don't like this my application, so I go here and change it to the LP news, and whatever you feel like, you can play around with this. So we can just change the name to LP news. Okay, all right, so that's about it about this video. If you have any question related to this, then you can put them in the comment section. I will be answering each and every questions, and if you feel like this video has helped you in somewhat, then please give it a thumbs up. I will highly appreciate it. All right, and till then, bye bye and keep learning, guys.